Black women slaves were assaulted, abused, and exploited, while black male slaves were beaten and treated like animals. However, nobody knows what was done with black children, who were, sadly and questionably, born slaves as children of slaves should be slaves under the law. In which conditions did they grow up? How they were treated, and how was their childhood? Especially when it comes to the slave breeding farms, the lives of slave children being born were often overlooked. In this video, we will take you into the lives of black children during slavery, something which has never been talked about and explained. Let's get started. Often when we hear about slavery and children, we are forced to ask what was the point behind that? What hard labor could the black slaves offer? It turns out that they were not enslaved because of the labor they would do immediately. Rather, it was to condition them into subjugation so that when they were adults, they didn't dare to question their masters. The slavers purposely inflicted brutality on black children to instill fear in them, a tactic aimed at molding them into compliant slaves. This grim strategy resulted in a reduced number of escaped slaves for slave masters and dealers. It's nearly impossible to fathom the extent of cruelty that some humans were capable of inflicting upon defenseless infants. This grim reality highlights that slavery wasn't merely an economic enterprise for Caucasians. It also served as a methodical form of slow genocide and an expression of extreme hatred toward black people. To the slavers, the lives of these young children were expendable, as there was always more to be acquired. These children were either born into inbreeding farms or forcibly taken alongside their mothers by slave dealers. On the slave breeding farms, newborns and black children were kept in cages as if they were animals. Showing how low the slave masters could fall, they would do nasty and sick pedophilic practices with those little black girls and boys, creating soul-shaking history. The experiences of these children often involved physical suffering, but the most enduring and traumatizing effects stemmed from psychological torture. These psychological traumas have been passed down through generations, leaving a deep and lasting impact. There are some recorded accounts of the brutalities done with black children during slavery. Even if you try to find them in history books, you will not, because they have been secretly removed. In one account, we know about a slave owner who sold 20 black children who were given birth by a single black woman slave. This is the incident of 1834 in Nassau. This disturbing episode is documented in the book Early Settlers of the Bahamas, written by A. Talbot Bethel in 1937. In his book, we find a conversation with a newly freed slave who explains what was done with black children. The book says that the old woman addressed Governor Colebrook, saying, "Massa, I have had 20 children. My massa and missus sold them all. One of my girls was sold to buy the young missus a piano. Whenever I heard her play on it, I used to stop my ears. I thought I heard my child crying out that it was bought with her blood. They were all sold off. I don't have a single one left to bury me, but now I see freedom." Try to imagine the pain and suffering of this mother who witnessed the sale of her 20 children. Every time one of the 20 children was sold, she knew it was to make an addition to the master's home. She endured the pain, and she knew she could do nothing. Then, consider the fate of those children in the hands of pedophiles, rapists, and cruel slavers. Now, if one woman lost 20 children in her lifetime, imagine how many children face such draconian experiences at the hands of millions of black mothers over 400 years. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video, and subscribe to our channel to watch more videos on black culture, history, civilization, and identity. Let's continue now. Another account is from 1773 in Queen Anne's County, Maryland, where two black girls aged 10 and 6 suffered disfigurement, which means to spoil someone's medical appearance. One had a prominent scar on her face, while the other had a sunken nose. A document reporting the missing of the two black girls was spread so people could report if they saw them. That document stated that whoever found those two black girls would be offered a $50 reward. It further continued and said that on Sunday last, 2 Negro slaves were stolen or lured away from the subscriber living in Queen Anne's County, opposite Chestertown in Kent County, Maryland. One named Rachel, about 9 or 10 years of age, of a yellow complexion, well-grown, with a scar on her throat under her jaw and two broad, remarkable front teeth. The other named Sarah, about 5 or 6 years of age, with thick lips, hollow eyes, and a greatly sunken upper part of her nose. These slaves were formerly the property of Elizabeth Adair of Kent County, who married John Posey and were purchased from John Posey by Sarah Flower, with whom the subscriber married. The document said that as it is suspected that they have been taken away with the intent of transporting them out of this province, all individuals are cautioned against buying them. Anyone who provides information to the subscriber about the person or persons responsible for stealing or enticing away the said slaves and the individuals currently in possession of them, leading to their recovery and the prosecution of the offenders, shall receive the above reward from Emmanuel Kent. Another account is from 1832, when a deeply disturbing incident occurred during the transportation of black slaves from Africa. A black 10-month-old baby, crucial for the traders as a profit of the voyage, was sulky and did not eat. This deeply troubled the ship's captain. In his anger, the captain forcibly took the child from its mother, attempting to make the baby eat through coercion and violence. He declared, "I'll make you eat or I'll kill you." The captain's rough treatment and the horrendous conditions on the ship caused the baby's legs to swell. In a moment that suggests the desire to protect a commodity for the market, the captain ordered his men to boil water to soothe the baby's swollen legs. The cook, testing the water, noted it was burning, but in a fit of rage, the captain instructed them to dip the baby's feet into the boiling water. The result was horrifying. The baby's skin and toenails peeled off immediately, but the captain's brutality didn't end there. He wrapped the child's injured feet with cloth and tied him to a heavy log for 2 to 3 days. He persistently attempted to force-feed the baby, and when the child resisted, he brutally flogged the 10-month-old for about 15 minutes, leading to the child's tragic death. Heartbreakingly, the captain then called upon the child's mother to pick up the lifeless body and throw it overboard. The mother, overwhelmed with grief, complied while averting her eyes from the sea. The other black slaves on board could only watch in silent agony and despair. In another horrific incident from 1832 near St. Thomas, a captain displayed astonishing callousness. He ordered a young black boy to climb the ship's mast and lower the flag. Tragically, the boy slipped and fell into the sea, crying out for help. Shockingly, the captain callously ignored his pleas, leaving the boy to drown. Miraculously, the captain's Spanish captain dog noticed the drowning boy and leaped into the water to rescue him. However, even after the dog's intervention, the captain displayed utter heartlessness. He initially refused to help, but eventually sent a boat to retrieve both the dog and the boy. Once back on board, the captain brutally beat the boy for losing the flag. Sadly, these accounts are not the only ones. During the era of slavery, when millions of slaves existed, black children slaves were punished, abused, and exploited in the worst forms. And since history deliberately ignored them, nobody really knows what every black child slave faced. Did you know black children were treated in these ways? Isn't it true that this chapter is taken off of history books to give the notion that only black men and women face the havoc of being slaves? Let us know your take in the comment section right below. Do you want to watch more videos like this one? If yes, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon next to it. We have decided to bring videos on something nobody talks about: the black culture, civilization, history, and evidence about how glorious blacks have been. Thanks for watching, and until the next video, stay tuned.